in your 20s and 30s, you will be very tempted to show other people that you are doing something with your life, that you are a high achiever. It is very important that you don't fall into this temptation because you are performing for an audience that has their back turned to you. Everybody is solely focused on themselves in life, okay? With few exceptions. Everybody has their own problems that they like to ruminate in their own mind, and I guarantee you they're not thinking about you. Ever since I was a young kid, I always was fascinated with why the world was the way it was in relation to other people. Like, how did like social connections occur? How do some people get along and other people not get along? And all this stuff. And I never understood what like the crux of like me caring about that was, like, or not caring, but me being so interested in that was. And as I've gotten older, I realized that when I was a kid, I was trying to make sense of the fact that nobody cared about anything except themselves. Humans are just selfish creatures. And in a weird way, everything is paradoxical. And it's paradoxical in that the fact that nobody cares about you is freeing. You're releasing yourself from the chains, but it's also creating a prison cell around you, the fact that nobody cares, because now you're in the fight alone. And it's so funny because tonight I had a rough day. Like, I had a migraine headache and I couldn't get out of bed for a really long time, and then I had to do all the schoolwork and I had to do all these recordings, and it's currently 5 a.m. right now as I'm recording this. And I kept telling myself, I was like, well, I could just go to bed because do or do not, it doesn't matter to anybody. If I didn't post a YouTube video for the next week, would anything actually happen? It's like, no, it just, life would go on. And I think that's hard for me to digest because I want people to care, not just about me, but in general. Like, I want people to care, because when nobody cares about anything, nothing becomes inherently valuable. You know what I mean? People always care about other things in relation to themselves. Relationships, there's a very real question to be asked on, do we seek relationships because they're inherently valuable or because we don't want to be lonely? You know what? I'm gonna make a separate video on that because I just like that line that I just hit y'all with. I'm not trying to be cocky right there. I just like that line. But yeah, there's certainly a sense of nihilism that comes with the fact that like you are kind of in this solo mission of life. If life was a video game, it would be solo mission, and then you have some side quests that are co-op, that you do things with other people, but you do those co-op missions because you and that person are trying to get XP for yourself. The more difficult the side quest, the more XP you get. You know what I mean? You could really lengthen that analogy right there, that metaphor. Like, in the video game and in real life, you get a random spawning point, you get random starting loot, but as the game progresses, you can get better loot, you can get better positioning. You're gonna meet a lot of NPCs that are gonna try to take you on on some side quests that are gonna be distracting, and sometimes it's important that you go on them to have fun, but sometimes you need to be disciplined and have your mind on the main mission, main objective. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here, but it truly is, to some extent, hard to grasp this concept in its full extent, because you make sense of things also within reason, and reason comes from empirical knowledge, and empirical knowledge comes from you. And so since you are seeing everything through your own lens and then relating it back to yourself, you truly can't fully sever the relationship between you and another person, even if it's purely parasocial. It still always comes back into relation in you, even if that's not like on your prefrontal cortex, you're not thinking about it. But the reason that I'm saying this, if you're not, I hope you're following what I'm saying, but if you're not following what I'm saying, to put it simply, like, we're concerned about everything as it relates to us. And if something doesn't relate to us, we basically create some sort of fantasy world where it does, because we're the ones, we are I. You know what I mean? And so that a lot of times, like, that person simply just like they're gonna pretend to care about you, but they don't. I, growing up, used to watch this show. It's called Big Brother on CBS. When I was growing up, this was like a show that my whole family would watch every I think it was on like 2 or 3 times a week at night for an hour. The premise of the show is it's basically like if you've ever seen the show Survivor, where you get 16 house guests, they go into a house, and it's essentially like only one person can leave, can win the game, and week by week the house has to collectively vote one person out of the game. And so there's different ways that you can get power, and you can cast people to be in the vote, eligible to be voted for eviction, and there's all that stuff. But the basic premise, and the reason that I'm bringing this up, is because that game is basically a direct reflection of our society as a whole, and then it's just bunched down into 16 people that live in a house. The thing is, none of these people trust each other, or they take the risk and trust people, and every single time they get burned. Because what you'll understand is that humans are inherently selfish. And really the only time where we put someone else's needs above ours is when we're, I don't know if blinded, because that seems a little bit derogatory, but when we're like, our perception is a little bit distorted from love, whether that's romantic love or familial love. Like the only way that somebody will put you before them is when they're like actually delusional enough to like care about you more than they care about themselves. And see, even that, I don't like the terminology delusional, because that also seems like it's like a little bit derogatory, and I don't think there's anything bad with caring for other people. I think that's actually a virtuous trait. But this game, like people that were like thought they were ride or dies, they would make final two alliances, and then they would just stab each other in the back at the first opportunity. And, you know, if you read Machiavelli's The Prince, you learn like human nature. If you read Nietzsche, you read how our morals are, you know, just kind of given to us. You know, once again, Machiavelli, he believed that humans are very conditional, that they only care about things when it benefits them, and then when it doesn't, they have no problem throwing those morals out the window. So it's undeniable that the average person is going to put their needs above yours, and they don't care. People ask me all the time, because I get a lot of hate on social media. Like some of my close friends will like literally check up on me, like, yo, you good? Like you get a ridiculous amount of hate. It's weird because I'll wake up on a random Tuesday, and I'll open my phone, and the very first thing I see, because like my algorithm always will give me videos of like me a lot, and it's like another person that's reacting to my video, and they're just like absolutely dogging on me. And it's just, what it does to your psyche is just so weird, where it's like, I think I have a high threshold for putting up with that type of stuff. But to some extent, it's just weird, because now every time I open my phone, I'm just like, brace for impact. And I really became aware that it's like, when people are given the opportunity, you know, they're going to hate on you. But how I get through it is just knowing that, okay, they're going to eventually swipe to the next video, and in 2 swipes, they're going to forget what that video even was. They don't even know who I am anymore. And the same thing is going to be true in your personal life. Like, people just, they're going to forget you. Even people that are friends with you, it's like when they go home, they have a test to worry about. They have to figure out how they're going to pay the bills. You know, they have a project at work that's causing them a lot of stress. They're going to go home at night, and they're just going to be focusing on all that other stuff because it's more pressing. And I don't blame them, because I do the same thing. And I'm sure you as a viewer do the same thing. It's human nature. But it is a little bit depressing. And I do think that a long, long time ago, when humans were more tribal, and we like lived in these communities, the prosperity of one person mattered to other people because it would affect other people. So you built this sort of collective where people could help other people. Nowadays, we live in a world that seems rather zero-sum, where it's like one person's success oftentimes hurts our success. You know what I mean? Or at least that's the perception of it. And so people become very, very hostile, very aggressive. But it's not because they care about you. It's because they care so much about themselves. And sometimes whatever you do makes them feel a certain way about themselves. So it's not that they ever care about you. It's just that your success is a threat to them, if you're following what I'm saying. Anyways, I've just been rambling on. Thank you guys for watching.